My wife had an affair with her boss, and to make things worse, our daughters helped her keep it under wraps. So I cut ties with all of them, changed my will, and what followed left them completely stunned. For nearly 3 decades, I truly believed I had the kind of life most folks only dream about. I married Laura when we were just kids, really. She was 21, and I was 23. Back then, we didn't have a dime to our name, but we were happy. We started from nothing and slowly built a life together. Along the way, we raised 2 daughters, Sophie and Lily. Those girls meant the world to me. They were my pride, my joy, everything I ever worked for. Sophie, our firstborn, is 27 now. She's always been the driven one, top of her class in high school, graduated with honors from college, and now she's set to get married this fall to the guy she's been with for years. Lily, the younger one at 25, has always been more laid back. She's got a big heart, always smiling, and she and I have shared a close bond since she was a little girl. I genuinely believed I had a solid relationship with both of them. Laura and I thought we had a good thing going too. Sure, like any couple, we had our fair share of rough patches, money troubles when we were young, a few arguments here and there, some health scares, but we always got through it together. I thought we were a team, that we'd be side by side growing old, laughing on the porch one day about all the wild times from our younger years. I really did love her with everything I had. But last week, it all came crashing down around me. It started out like any normal day. Laura told me she was heading out for dinner with Sophie and Lily. They do that from time to time, every couple of weeks or so. They call it their girls' dinner, just a chance for them to catch up and talk about whatever's going on, usually stuff they don't bring up with me. I never had a problem with it. Honestly, I liked that they were close. It gave me a sense of pride as a husband and father, like maybe I'd done something right in bringing this family together. That night, Laura was upstairs getting ready. I was downstairs in the kitchen, sipping my coffee and thumbing through the news on my phone. It's burned into my memory, every detail. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. Nothing unusual about that, she gets texts from the girls all the time, especially when they're making plans. Without thinking much of it, I picked it up. What I did next, I'm not proud of. I didn't have any reason to be suspicious, but something made me open that message. It was from a number she didn't have saved. "Can't wait to see you tonight." I just froze. At first, I didn't know what to make of it. I figured it had to be some kind of mix-up, or maybe it wasn't what it seemed. I just stared at that message, my thoughts spinning. Eventually, I tapped on the conversation to see more. And what I found hit me like a freight train. The messages weren't long, but they didn't need to be. They made everything crystal clear. They were from her boss. They were making dinner plans, and it was obvious this wasn't about work. The tone was playful, way too affectionate. I scrolled back and saw messages from earlier that week. He had written, "Ain't I miss you. Once a week isn't enough." Laura had replied, "Sign me miss you too." My stomach churned. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped her phone. This was my wife, the woman I'd built a life with, the mother of my kids. And she was seeing another man. I felt lost. Part of me wanted to storm upstairs and confront her on the spot, but I couldn't do it. I was too stunned. I needed to understand what was really going on. I needed to be sure. A few minutes later, Laura came downstairs. She was all dressed up, looking as beautiful as ever. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Don't wait up, okay?" Her voice was calm, cheerful, like nothing was out of the ordinary. I don't even know how I kept my composure, but I managed to say, "All right, have fun with the girls." As soon as the door closed behind her, I grabbed her phone and turned on location sharing. I'd never done anything like that before. I'd never felt the need to check up on her or spy on anyone. But right then, none of that mattered. I had to know the truth. I sat there for a while, watching my phone, waiting for her location to update. When it finally did, my heart dropped even further. She wasn't headed to the restaurant where they usually met. She was going somewhere else, a place we used to visit together as a family. I texted Sophie and Lily, "What time are you meeting Mom for dinner?" They both replied right away. Sophie said, 8 o'clock, can't wait to see her. Lily sent something similar. But they were lying. My own daughters were lying to me. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down I knew, they weren't just keeping quiet, they were in on it. I waited a bit longer, watching her location move. When she finally got to the restaurant, I grabbed my keys and headed out, my heart pounding the entire drive. I parked outside and looked through the window. It didn't take long to spot her. She was sitting near the back with her boss. They were holding hands, laughing, completely unaware I was watching. It felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. I pulled out my phone and took a picture. I'm not even sure why, maybe to convince myself it was real, that I wasn't just making it up in my head. Then I got back in my car and drove off. I sat there for a while, staring at the photo, feeling a rush of anger, sadness, and complete disbelief. I had no idea what to do next. I couldn't bring myself to go home and face her, not yet. So instead, I opened our family group chat, sent the photo without a word, and added one line, "Well, glad you're enjoying girls' dinner." Then I shut off my phone and headed to my brother's house. I just couldn't deal with any of it yet. I wasn't ready. That night, I lay in his guest room, staring up at the ceiling, trying to make sense of how everything had fallen apart so fast. I'd always thought I was a good husband, a decent father. But now, I wasn't so sure. Everything I believed about my life, my marriage, my family, it all felt like a lie. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't bring myself to. After sending that picture and switching off my phone, I just drove aimlessly for a while before finally pulling into my brother's driveway. It was late, but he opened the door without a fuss. He didn't ask a bunch of questions, but I could see it in his eyes. He knew something was really wrong. I guess the look on my face said it all. My brother didn't press me for details. I just told him I needed somewhere to crash that night. He offered me a beer, but I wasn't in the mood. I just needed space, to sit, to breathe, to try and make sense of the mess my life had become. So I curled up on his couch and stared at the ceiling for what felt like forever. Sleep never came. My thoughts wouldn't stop racing. That image of Laura sitting across from her boss kept looping in my head, her smiling at him like a schoolgirl, their fingers intertwined across the table like it was some kind of rom-com date. It made me feel sick. I kept asking myself, how long? How long had this been going on right under my nose? And how did I miss it? But even worse than Laura's affair was the part Sophie and Lily played in it. The way they lied to my face without even flinching. I raised them better than that. Or at least I thought I did. I'd always taught them to be honest, to do the right thing, no matter how hard it was. And now here they were, helping their mother cheat. Hiding it from me like it was no big deal. That betrayal cut deeper than anything Laura did. The next morning, I finally turned my phone back on. It lit up like a Christmas tree, calls, texts, voicemails, all from Laura, Sophie, and Lily. I couldn't stomach listening to the voicemails, and honestly, I barely skimmed the texts. I already knew what they were going to say. Laura's messages were exactly what I expected: please call me, I can explain, it's not what you think, and we need to talk. I didn't even bother opening the voicemails. Just hearing her voice might have set me off, and I wasn't in the right headspace for that. Then came Lily's texts. She sent a flood of them, apologizing over and over again. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I never should have lied to you. I hate myself for what I did. Please don't hate me." Her boyfriend even reached out. "Hey, this is Ethan. Lily's having a panic attack. She's terrified you'll never forgive her. Please call her. I didn't reply. I had no idea what to say, and I sure wasn't ready to say it. Sophie's message, though, that one hit differently. It was short and cold. Mike, I'm sorry you found out this way, but I think you're overreacting. Don't throw away a good marriage over one mistake. Overreacting. One mistake. I saw red. This wasn't a slip-up. This wasn't some drunken accident or misunderstanding. This was a full-blown betrayal. Laura didn't just cheat, she built a secret life, and Sophie and Lily helped her keep it hidden. That's not a mistake. That's a conscious decision, over and over again. They lied. To my face. Dozens of times. Every girls' night, every smile, every casual chat at dinner, it was all fake. A front to keep me in the dark while Laura ran around behind my back. I started thinking about all the moments I trusted them, all the times I asked about their plans and they looked me in the eye and lied. And it made me sick all over again. I spent most of the day locked in my own head, stewing in all that anger and hurt. My brother tried to talk, to get me to open up, but I just wasn't ready. Eventually, I knew I had to say something. Maybe not everything, but something. I started with Lily. Just a short message. Lily, I love you, but what you did hurt me more than I can explain. I need space to figure this out. She replied right away. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'll never forgive myself. I love you so much. I didn't respond. Then I messaged Sophie. Sophie, this isn't a mistake. It's a betrayal. From you, from Lily, from your mother. Please don't contact me until I'm ready. She never replied. But a few minutes later, Laura started up again. Don't take this out on the girls. They were just trying to protect me. They didn't mean to hurt you. I ignored her. I wasn't interested in her excuses. They weren't protecting her, they were enabling her. That night, I finally told my brother everything. I showed him the texts. The photo. The lies. He was furious. You need to cut them all off, he said. If they can't respect you enough to be honest, why keep them in your life? His words hit hard because, deep down, I already knew he was right. But saying it is one thing, doing it is something else entirely. Cutting Laura out was one thing. But my daughters? That was a step I wasn't sure I had the strength to take. Still, I knew one thing for sure, my marriage was over. There was no coming back from this. And truthfully, I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to try. That part of my life was done. But with Sophie and Lily, I didn't know what to do. Could I trust them again? Could I ever look at them the same way? I needed time. Time to think. Time to figure out what came next. Because the life I knew, it was gone. And whatever was coming, it wasn't going to be anything like the life I thought I had. When I got back to my brother's place later that evening, the anger was gone. What was left felt heavier, numbness. Everything I'd felt before, rage, heartbreak, disbelief, had burned itself out, and now I was just, empty. Turning my phone back on, I noticed something strange. Silence. No new messages. No missed calls. Just, nothing. They'd stopped. Maybe they realized I wasn't going to reply. Maybe they were regrouping. I don't know. But the quiet was almost worse than the noise. It gave me time to think, and that wasn't exactly a blessing. Without the distraction of anger, I was left with questions that wouldn't let me rest. How long had Laura been lying to me? How many times had my daughters looked me in the eye and kept up the act? Did they ever feel guilty? Or was it just, routine to them now? Betray their dad, protect their mom, and move on like nothing happened. That night, I sat with my brother and laid everything out, no holding back. He didn't interrupt, just listened. I told him about the messages, the lies, the picture, the family group chat bomb I dropped before I went dark. When I finally finished, he leaned back in his chair and shook his head. "That's messed up," he said. "I don't even know where to start." He paused, then added, I always thought Laura was a little too polished, you know. But I never imagined she'd pull something like this. And the girls? Man, that's low." Hearing someone else say it out loud helped. Just knowing I wasn't losing my mind, that someone else could see it clearly, it was a relief. But it didn't make any of it easier. My brother was still fired up on my behalf, which honestly helped in the moment, but I didn't really need more anger. I had enough of that boiling inside me already. What I needed was some kind of direction. A plan. I had none. Next morning, I told myself it was time to stop sitting around in my feelings and actually do something. First order of business. Get my finances sorted. I couldn't afford to let emotions cloud my judgment, not when it came to protecting myself. So I spent most of the day locking things down, canceling joint accounts, moving cash into an account Laura couldn't touch, freezing anything that might get messy during the divorce. If she was gonna try and pull anything while I was down, she was in for a surprise. And it wasn't just about Laura. As I went through everything, I kept thinking about Sophie's wedding. All the money I'd already spent. All the money I was about to spend. We're talking tens of thousands, all for a daughter who looked me in the eye and lied. Who helped her mom cover up an affair like it was nothing. The thought made me sick. I added it to my mental list of things to talk to the lawyer about. Maybe I couldn't get that money back, but I sure as hell wasn't putting in another dime. By the afternoon, I was ready for step 2. I started calling lawyers. A bunch of them. My brother had told me to talk to a few before deciding, so I spent the rest of the day going from office to office, telling the same story over and over. Most of them tried to keep a straight face, but you could still see the judgment slipping through. Didn't matter. I wasn't there for sympathy. I just needed someone sharp who knew how to get this done right. By the end of the day, I found her. She was no nonsense, smart, and, most importantly, aggressive. I told her I wanted this over fast, but I also didn't want Laura walking away with more than she deserved. She nodded like she'd seen this kind of thing 100 times before and said not to worry. Didn't exactly make me feel better, but at least I knew I was in good hands. That night, back in my brother's guest room, I finally started thinking about what I'd say to Laura. I hadn't confronted her yet. I'd avoided it on purpose, partly because I wasn't sure I'd be able to keep my cool, and partly because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of explaining herself. What was there to explain? Still, I knew I couldn't dodge her forever. At some point, I'd have to face her. And when I did, I wanted to be ready. So I wrote it all out, what I wanted to ask, what I needed to say, the things I wouldn't let her twist. I didn't know if I'd use the notes, but writing it down made me feel like I had some control again. The worst part was thinking about Sophie and Lily. I hadn't heard from them since I sent those texts. I didn't even know how to start that conversation. How do you look your daughters in the eye after realizing they've been lying to you for months? How do you ever trust them again? I wanted to believe Lily was really sorry. Her messages seemed genuine. But how do I know she wasn't just trying to smooth things over, like her mom? And Sophie? Her message didn't even try to pretend. Just cold. Like she'd already picked her side, and it wasn't mine. That's when I made up my mind, I wasn't reaching out to them. If they wanted to make things right, they'd have to come to me. I wasn't chasing after them, begging for anything. They made their choice. Now they could sit with it. That night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling again, something shifted. I wasn't flailing anymore. I had a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. And for the first time since everything blew up, I didn't feel totally lost. I wasn't going to be the victim anymore. It was time to take back some control. 2 days after I first crashed at my brother's place, 2 days of dodging calls, sorting through emotions, I knew it was time to finally face Laura. Ignoring her wasn't going to change a damn thing, and I had a few things she needed to hear. So late that night, I sent her a text, "Let's meet tomorrow at 10. At the house." She texted back almost immediately, "I'll be there. Please just let me explain." Explain what, though? Was there really anything left to say? I didn't bother responding. Figured I'd save it for when we were face to face. The next morning, I got up early and drove back to the house. As soon as I stepped inside, it hit me like a punch to the gut. This place, our home, was full of memories. Birthdays. Holidays. Late nights with the girls. Every room had something. Now it just felt cold. Hollow. Like everything that was good had rotted out from the inside. Laura showed up right on time. She walked in like a ghost, eyes red and swollen, clutching her phone like it was some kind of shield. I noticed she wasn't wearing her ring. That stung more than I'd like to admit. "Thanks for agreeing to meet," she said softly, barely stepping past the door. "Don't thank me," I said, my voice sharper than I expected. "I'm not here to make this easier for you." And just like that, the tone was set. We sat down at the dining room table, same one where we'd had all those family dinners, and she launched right into it. Saying all the usual crap, it didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. It just happened. Like if she said it enough, it'd somehow sound more believable. I finally cut her off. "Stop. I don't want excuses. I want answers." She blinked at me like I'd spoken another language. "What do you mean? How long?" I asked. She hesitated, tried to avoid eye contact. "A few months," she whispered. Then her face crumbled. "Almost a year. A year. Nearly 12 months of lies. 12 months of pretending. Of kissing me goodnight while sneaking off behind my back." "And the girls?" I asked. "How long have they known?" She winced. Looked away. "Not the whole time," she said quietly. "Of course. Just enough of it. Enough to hurt." Laura wiped her eyes and said, "I told them a couple months ago. I didn't mean to drag them into it." I cut her off right there. "But you did. You made them part of your lies. Do you have any idea what that's done to me?" She broke down then, really crying, like the weight of everything had finally hit her. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," she sobbed. "I never wanted to hurt you, but I was so unhappy, Anne." "Unhappy?" I snapped, my voice bouncing off the walls of the house that used to be our home. "You were unhappy, so you blew up our family? You cheated on me and pulled our daughters into the middle of it because you were unhappy? Do you even realize what you've done, Laura?" She didn't respond. She just sat there, covering her face with her hands, sobbing. And for the first time since this all started, I didn't feel sorry for her. "You didn't just destroy our marriage," I said, quieter now, but no less angry. "You shattered what I had with Sophie and Lily. How am I supposed to look at them the same way? How am I supposed to trust them again after they helped cover this up?" "I didn't want them to lie to you," she whispered. "I didn't want any of this." "Then why?" I asked. "If you were that unhappy, why didn't you talk to me? Why sneak around instead of trying to fix things?" She didn't have an answer. Or maybe she did, and it didn't matter anymore. Nothing she said could change what she did. After a long silence, I stood up. "I'm filing for divorce," I said. "You'll hear from my lawyer soon." "Please," she begged, getting to her feet too. "Don't do this. We can work through it. We can fix this." "There's nothing to fix," I told her flatly. You made your decision. Now I'm making mine. As I turned to leave, I stopped in the doorway and looked back one last time. Oh, and don't expect me to pay for Sophie's wedding anymore. She can ask her boss to help out, since apparently they're both so good at keeping secrets. Her face crumpled all over again, but I didn't stick around to watch. On my way out, I stopped in the hallway, staring at the family photos still hanging on the wall. Me, Laura, Sophie, and Lily, smiling, frozen in happier times. I used to love those photos. Now they just felt like a cruel reminder of what I thought we were. I grabbed one, Sophie's high school graduation, and slammed it against the wall. Glass shattered, and for a second, that sound gave me the tiniest bit of relief. But it passed quick. As I walked to my car, it hit me, this wasn't the end. That conversation with Laura? That was just the first round. The real work, the painful stuff, was still ahead. I had to deal with Sophie and Lily. I had to figure out how to rebuild, if that was even possible. Nearly 35 years of my life, gone, just like that. Burned down by people I trusted most. The next day, I decided it was time to talk to the girls. Separately. I couldn't just write them off without hearing what they had to say, but I also wasn't ready to pretend like everything was fine. Not after what they did. I needed the truth. And I needed to know if there was even a chance of repairing what was broken. I started with Lily. She'd always been the more emotional one, and her texts lately had been all over the place. I asked her to meet me at a park near my brother's place. When she showed up, she looked exhausted, eyes swollen, face pale, hands twitching like she couldn't sit still. We sat down on a bench, and the second she opened her mouth, she started crying. "Dad, I'm so sorry," she said through tears. "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you." "Then why lie?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "Why help your mother cover it up? Did you think I wouldn't find out?" She shook her head. "It wasn't like that. She told me a couple months ago." I was furious, but she begged me not to say anything. She said it was ending soon. That it was just a phase. I didn't know what to do. "So you protected her instead of telling me the truth?" I said, trying to keep the emotion from boiling over. "I thought she was going to stop," Lily whispered. "I didn't want to ruin the family if there was a chance she'd come to her senses." I just stared at her. "That's not good enough, Lily. You knew she was cheating. You knew she was lying to me, and you went along with it. You don't get to say you didn't want to hurt me after doing exactly that." She crumpled again, hiding her face in her hands. Watching her cry twisted something in me, but I couldn't let it change what I needed to say. "I'm not saying this to punish you," I said after a pause. "But I need you to understand what this did to me. Right now, I don't know if I can trust you. And I don't know if I ever will again, not the way I used to." She nodded, shoulders shaking. "I'll do anything to make this right, Dad. Just tell me what to do." I didn't have an answer for her. Not yet. I told her I needed time, and then I left. Meeting with Sophie was different. I picked a coffee shop, figured it would be better to have the talk somewhere neutral. She showed up 15 minutes late, perfectly put together like none of this touched her. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sitting down like this was just any other conversation. I didn't waste a second. "Sophie, why didn't you tell me about your mother's affair?" She let out a sigh and leaned back like she was already over it. "Dad, I didn't want to get involved. It's between you and Mom. I thought staying out of it was the best thing." "Staying out of it?" I repeated, raising my voice a bit. "You didn't stay out of it, Sophie. You lied to me. You covered for her. That's not staying neutral, that's taking sides." "I wasn't choosing sides," she said quickly, her tone defensive. "I was trying to keep the peace. I didn't want to make things worse." "Worse for who?" I asked. For me, or for your mother? She didn't say anything, and that told me everything I needed to know. Oh, Sophie, I said, shaking my head. You're an adult. You're getting married soon. If your fiancé did to you what your mom did to me, would you want everyone to keep it quiet, or would you hope someone had the guts to tell you the truth? I asked her point blank. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. That's different, she said, sounding annoyed. Mom made a mistake. You don't have to throw everything away because of it. That hit me like a punch to the chest. A mistake? I said, stunned. That's how you see it? It was a mistake, she insisted. People screw up, Dad. That doesn't mean you burn the whole house down. I just shook my head. One bad choice. I repeated. Do you even hear yourself right now? This wasn't some little screw-up. It was betrayal. By your mother. By you. And by Lily. She tried to cut in, I'm not saying. No, I stopped her. You're just acting like I'm being too harsh. Like I'm supposed to suck it up and move on. But I'm telling you right now, Sophie, you don't just lie to someone you love and expect it to blow over. You think I won't regret cutting you off? I already regret that you made me even consider it. We're your family, she said, arms crossed, tone cold. Family doesn't turn its back. Family doesn't lie and cover for someone destroying everything either, I fired back. You and Lily didn't just protect your mom, you broke my trust. And I don't know how to come back from that. So that's it, she snapped. You're just gonna pretend like we don't exist anymore. I paused, took a breath. I don't know, I admitted. But I can't pretend none of this happened. I can't act like you didn't stab me in the back. We sat there in silence for a bit. Then I stood up. I said what I needed to say. What you do with it is up to you. She didn't say anything else. Didn't try to stop me. I walked out. That night, back at my brother's place, I just sat in the guest room going over everything in my head. Talking to Lily had shaken me. She seemed truly sorry, but I didn't know if I could trust her again. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Sophie, though, she was different. Cold. Dismissive. Like I was the problem for not getting over it. That was when I started seriously considering cutting them both off for good. I didn't want to. God knows I didn't. But what's the point in trying to rebuild something when the foundation's already been blown to pieces? The next morning, I called my lawyer. Told her to update my will, remove both girls completely. Everything I had, savings, retirement, the house, it'd go to my sister and her kids. They've always stood by me. Never lied. Never played both sides. When I told my brother, he just nodded. You're doing the right thing, he said. They made their choices. Now they live with them. It didn't take long for the backlash to hit. Lily called the next day, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Please don't do this, Dad, she cried. I know I screwed up, but I love you. I don't care about the money. I just don't want to lose you. That one hurt. Bad. But I stood firm. Lily, I love you too, I said, my voice thick. But love doesn't erase what you did. I need time. Maybe one day we can fix this. But not now. She cried harder but finally hung up. Sophie. Different story, of course. She sent me this long, cold email, full of accusations. Said I was being petty, vindictive. That I was destroying her wedding over something that wasn't even about her. I didn't reply. What was the point? She'd made it clear how she felt. Then Laura got involved. Sent me one of her carefully crafted emails, full of guilt-laced pleasantries. She begged me not to punish the girls for her mistake. Claimed I'd be tearing the family apart for good. I didn't answer that either. I'd had enough of her damage control. Days passed, and slowly, the air got lighter. The rage was still there, sure, but it didn't sit as heavy on my chest anymore. Cutting them out wasn't easy. But it was necessary. I had to protect what little I had left, my sanity, my peace, whatever was left of me. It's been a month now since I changed the will. I haven't spoken to either of them since. Friends tell me Sophie is scrambling to cover the wedding costs I was supposed to handle. I don't feel sorry for her. She stood by her mom. She made her bed. Lily. I still think about her. Part of me hopes she really gets it one day. That she'll grow from this and maybe we can find our way back. But I'm not rushing it. As for Laura, she's just someone I used to know. I don't care what she does anymore. The divorce is moving forward, and from what my lawyer says, she's not walking away with much. That's enough for me. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right call, cutting them all loose. But then I remind myself of something simple and true. They made their choices. And now, finally, I'm making mine. I'm free. That's where the story ends. If it spoke to you, drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. There's another one waiting for you right here on the screen. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you there.